corruption, bribery, irresponsibility. These are one of the many problems that are happening around the world. Transparency International has created an index to determine the degree that corruption is perceived, or also known as CPI. From the best score of 100, more than half of the world's countries has a score below 50, including India, China, and Russia, which accounts for 40% of the world's population. Even countries like the United States of America could not prevent the hamburger crisis in 2008. Due to the deregulation of investment banks by the Federal Reserve, allowing them to do very irresponsible investments, like giving loans to people who may not be able to return the debt. Most people think that solving this kind of problem can be done by passing out new laws or making reforms. But I believe no matter how well the laws are written, there will always be someone smart enough to get around it. But we have a tool far more powerful than any law or regulation on this earth. We have culture. It is a necessity to create the culture of good governance, because culture will create an unwritten law, automatically enforced, not by any court, but by the norms of the society. One of the clearest examples was back in the tragic furry incident in Korea, back in April 2014, that killed up to 250 high school students. A week later after the incident, the Prime Minister of Korea resigned from his position. There was no written rule or regulation that explicitly states the Prime Minister has to resign after a tragic incident that he is not directly responsible for. But it was because the cultural norms of the Korean society that demanded responsibility from governmental officers. Now the big question is, how are we going to nurture the culture of good governance? I am aware that changing one person is hard, and changing a whole community would be even harder. But I believe that changing culture is just like pouring ketchup out of a glass bottle. If you shake it vigorously, it tends to stay inside the bottle. But if you tip it over and tap it lightly, although slow, the ketchup will gradually flow out. Similarly, changing culture cannot be vigorously done in a short period of time. But we can use education as a tool to make the gradual changes. We need to educate the new generation to have responsibility, to have discipline, and to make group decisions not by just the majority rule, but by also caring about the minority who may be worse off by each decision, or making decisions by consensus. As they grow up, they would face more challenging problems and learn harder concepts, such as transparency and efficiency. But education does not stop at graduation. We need to educate the public, to empower them, to give them the ability to turn information into knowledge and have a sense of ownership, so they will be willing to take action for the community and create a culture of good governance. Although changing culture cannot be done by one person, I need the help of everyone in the society. As John F. Kennedy had once said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. So ask not what the politicians, what your government, what your country, and what the world can do for you, but ask what we can do to create the culture of good governance. Not for me, not for you, not for this society, not for this country, but for the 7 billion inhabitants of this world. Although change may take more than a lifetime, but all changes have a beginning, and that beginning starts now. Thank you very much.
คสช.ส่งเข้าประกวดนะครับ NCPO sends him to this competition. Tonight, well, our Prime Minister is in Japan, so he's sitting in for the Prime Minister to return the happiness to the people on television. คืนนี้นะฮะเชิญไปส่งความสุขคืนให้ประชาชนด้วยนะครับ
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh my
Inspiring
God.
speech.
Yes, a question.
Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Your idea about this education is something that I've been hearing for the last 50 or 100 years, that we will educate and it will turn to good governance. And yet, we haven't seen it happen yet. How do you think we can make it happen?
Well, for me, I would think that we need to change in the curriculum, the way we educate the new generation. I think that during the kindergarten years, we should not emphasize yet on about the factual knowledge, but we care more about how to make the students be responsible for oneself and be able to live in the society. As they start to go in grade school, then we start to add a bit of the factual knowledge, and we also learn them, make them have the responsibility for others, have the skills to be able to live in the society. And as they grow up, they will learn more factual knowledge, learn more case studies, and they can use the factual knowledge to integrate into how we can solve the new problems. Also, we can design games that can teach about good governance. For example, there is a game of cooperate and cheat, or any of you who study economics might know this as the prisoner's dilemma. This is a game that you can choose to cheat or to cooperate. If you all cooperate, you get some benefit. But if one person cheats, that person will get more benefit than the others. But as more people cheat, the benefit will decrease until up to a point no one gets the benefit. And also, we need to empower the public. We need to give them the knowledge to be able to monitor the governments and have them have a sense like intolerance towards corruption and all the bad things that are happening towards the society. One of the clearest examples of this kind of education was the Japan educational system, which one of the clearest events was after the Great Tsunami back in 2010, that when people gave donations, they actually stood in line in order to receive the food. They didn't just scramble in and then try to grab a piece of everything. And after they received something, they still bowed in respect for what the other people had given to them. So I think this is the way we can create the good governance culture within our country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.